My father said if I marry you, he will disinherit me from the kingdom. I whispered those words into the empty night as if you were standing before me, wrapped in moonlight, listening the way you always used to, with your heart first and your eyes second. The balcony felt colder without you, as though the wind itself carried my father's warning again and again, carving it into my soul. I never thought I would live to see the day where loving someone became an act of treason, yet here I am, torn between the crown that raised me and the woman who taught me what life truly is. Do you know how strange it feels to belong everywhere by birth, yet nowhere without you? The palace behind me glitters with gold, but tonight every jewel weighs like chains. I wish you were here to see how even the stars look dimmer when you're gone. I keep imagining your voice, soft, stubborn, full of fire, telling me that I should not bow, not break, not surrender to a destiny chosen by someone else's ambition. You always believed love was stronger than legacy. You told me once that a kingdom built without love eventually collapses from within. I never understood the depth of your words until now. When silence surrounds me like a punishment, I'm speaking to shadows because the world we dreamed of, the one where your hand fit naturally in mine, has been declared forbidden. And yet, how do I unlove you? How do I silence the part of me that calls your name as naturally as breathing? There are nights, countless and cruel, when I think of defying him, leaving the palace behind, stripping myself of the titles that never truly felt like mine, and running to where your world begins. I imagine a life where we wake up to sunlight through a small cottage window, instead of servants announcing royal duties, where my crown is your smile, and my throne is your heartbeat beneath my palms. But reality has sharper edges, and every fantasy must bleed a little. If I choose you, I lose the kingdom. If I choose the kingdom, I lose myself, because you are the part of me that feels alive, unmasked, and human. I wish you could hear me right now, because I don't know which path leads to salvation and which to ruin. Father says a king must choose duty over desire, crown over heart. But what is a king without a heart? A puppet with power, a ruler with no soul. He forgets that kingdoms flourish under love too. Love for the people, love for justice, love for truth. And my truth is you. It has always been you. Even when I first saw you, standing there without fear of my title, without hunger for what I could give, just looking at me like you saw the boy beneath the prince. That was the moment my destiny changed, long before I realized it. Maybe you will never hear these words. Maybe the wind will carry them to you. Or maybe fate will be kind for once and lead you back to me in a way no one can stop. But listen, wherever you are tonight, if the world ever forces me to choose, I would rather be yours with nothing than a king with everything except you. For what is a kingdom worth if the one I long to share it with is forbidden to sit beside me? I never thought silence could feel this loud. The halls echo with footsteps and voices, but everything sounds distant, meaningless, as if the world continued turning after tearing me away from its center. I walk through gilded corridors where portraits of past kings stare down at me, their painted eyes filled with judgment, as though they already know I am unfit to wear the crown if my heart refuses to be cold. They ruled with iron, with strategy, with alliances forged through marriages of convenience, but none of them ever loved the way I love you. And maybe that is my curse, or perhaps the miracle I wasn't supposed to find, because loving you has made every royal luxury feel hollow, every victory feel like defeat. I often find myself returning to the places where your laughter once left its trace, the gardens where you plucked flowers you weren't allowed to touch, the stables where you fed the horses instead of letting servants do it, the old library where you fell asleep with a book on your chest and sunlight on your face. I stand there, not as a prince, but as a man hopelessly chasing the ghosts of yesterday. The gardeners ask why I linger so long. The maids wonder why the prince has grown quiet. But how do I tell them that a kingdom can have everything? Riches, armies, power, yet still feel empty because a single person is missing from it. You taught me that joy isn't found in grand events or royal dinners, but in stolen glances, shared secrets, and the warmth of a hand held under the table. At night, I find no rest. I lie awake, replaying every moment with you, afraid that with each passing day your voice will grow fainter in my memory. I try to hold on to the way you said my name, the way your fingers brushed mine, the way you challenged my beliefs with nothing but truth in your eyes. Sometimes I dream of you, and those dreams are the most painful of all, because in them you're right beside me, smiling, and I get to breathe freely, only to wake up to a reality that feels colder than winter. I never knew that longing itself could become a kind of endurance, a battle fought within the heart, unseen by the world yet fierce enough to shatter a man. Do you remember the night we made promises beneath the lantern, lit sky? You said that love should be chosen, not commanded, that fate should bend for two souls meant to be, not break them apart. You were fearless in your beliefs, and sometimes I think you loved the man in me more than I ever allowed myself to. I envy the courage you carried with such ease. You would have walked beside me through storms, through kingdoms, through exile even, and I know it with a certainty that hurts. It is I who hesitates, trapped between the weight of a crown I never asked for and the fear of losing you completely if I make the wrong choice. Tell me, my love, is devotion enough when the world demands sacrifice? Every sunrise brings a battlefield to my mind. Should I hold on to a destiny that was carved for me before I could speak, or should I chase a life with you? Unpredictable, unknown, yet true. My advisors speak of duty. My father speaks of bloodlines. The world speaks of tradition. But none of them speak of happiness, of freedom, of the human heart. They forget that I am not made of stone. I bleed, I ache, I yearn just as any man would when torn between love and legacy. The throne promises power, yes, but your love promised peace, and peace is something no crown has ever been able to give me. If I choose you, I abandon centuries of expectation. If I don't, I abandon myself. Sometimes I wonder if you hate me for staying, for not running after you the moment they took you away from my world. If you think I gave up too easily, I pray you know that my love was never weak, only bound by chains I'm still learning to break. If you ever believe that I did not fight for you, then I have failed in the one thing that mattered. I hope you understand that every day without you is a war, and every breath still carries your name. If I could trade the gold on my shoulders for the warmth of your hand, I would do it without a heartbeat of regret. I do not want a kingdom where your footsteps are not welcome, yet even through despair a fragile spark remains. A part of me still believes our story is not over, that fate, cruel as it has been, has not spoken its final word. Perhaps love as fierce as ours cannot be erased by distance or decree. Perhaps the universe is merely waiting for the moment we are brave enough to reclaim what was taken. If the day ever comes when you call for me, whether from a cottage, a distant land, or even the edge of the world, I will come to you, not as a prince bound by duty, but as the man whose heart chose you long before he knew the cost. And when that day arrives, love will not be forbidden, it will be victorious. The nights have grown colder, though the season has not changed. It feels as if the air itself mourns your absence, whispering your name through every corridor I walk. I see your face in every reflection, Hear your laughter in the soft hum of the wind and sometimes in the quiet moments before dawn. I almost believe you are still near. But then reality returns, cruel and unyielding, and I am left holding the emptiness where your warmth used to be. They say time dulls all wounds, but what do they know of a wound that still bleeds beneath silk robes and golden crowns? What do they know of a love that refuses to fade even when commanded to die? Every day, I wear the mask of the obedient prince, the one who nods at council meetings, who listens to speeches of duty and alliance, who pretends not to feel the fire burning in his chest. They look at me and see calm, composure, control. They don't see the storm raging beneath my skin. The truth is, I am no longer a man of the court. I am a man haunted by a choice I never wanted to make. I wonder when my father looks into my eyes, can he see that I've already betrayed him? Not in words, but in the quiet rebellion of my heart. Because though he may have forbidden your name, he cannot erase it from the pulse that keeps me alive. Sometimes I write letters to you, words I will never send. I write them as if you might somehow feel them, carried by the wind or the rain, reaching you wherever fate has taken you. I tell you how the gardens have wilted without your laughter, how the servants still whisper about the girl who dared to love a prince, and how the kingdom itself feels different, as if the life you brought into it was stolen away too soon. In those letters, I am not a ruler or an heir. I am just a man who misses the way you made the world feel smaller, safer, more real. I seal each one and burn it before sunrise, watching the smoke rise like a prayer I no longer know how to make. I visited the old oak tree yesterday, the one near the river where we carved our initials beneath the bark, foolishly believing it would keep our love safe. The carving has begun to fade, but the memory of that day has not. I remember your smile when you said, "Even if the world forgets us, the earth won't." You were wrong, perhaps. The world forgets easily, and the earth heals over its scars. But my heart remembers everything, every word, every touch, every promise. I knelt there like a man stripped of his armor, tracing the marks we left behind, wondering if love like ours was meant to be eternal or just a beautiful tragedy written in the stars. I've begun to see the truth that kingdoms are fragile things, built not just on stone and sword, but on the hearts of those who live within them. And if those hearts break, so too does the throne. My father believes that love makes rulers weak, but he is wrong. It is not love that weakens, it is fear. Fear of losing control, fear of vulnerability, fear of feeling too deeply. I do not wish to be that kind of king. I would rather be remembered as the man who chose love and lost everything than as one who gained the world but felt nothing. For what use is a crown if it silences the voice of the heart that beats beneath it? I dream sometimes of what our life could have been, you and I, far away from marble halls and royal decrees, a cottage by the sea, the scent of salt and freedom in the air. You would hum softly while I read, your hair tangled by the wind, sunlight spilling across your face. There would be no titles, no duties, no boundaries, only us and the quiet peace of knowing we chose each other freely. But then I wake and the illusion shatters. The sea is gone, replaced by walls of duty and expectation. And I realize that perhaps the cruelest thing about love is not losing it, but having to live in a world where it once was. Still, I wait for you. Maybe that is my final act of rebellion, not in defying the crown, but in refusing to forget you. I wait not for a miracle, but for a moment, a sign, a whisper, a chance. The world may believe our story ended when you were taken from me, but I know better. Love like ours doesn't end, it lingers, hidden between the spaces of time, waiting for courage to return. And when it does, When fate decides we have suffered enough, I will find you. And when I do, I will not come as a prince, nor as a son of a king, but as the man who loved you against the world, and would do so again, even if it meant losing everything twice. I watched the sunrise today, and for the first time, I felt nothing. The light crept through the curtains, golden and soft, painting the marble floors in warmth, but it could not touch me. It used to remind me of you, how the first rays would catch your hair, how your eyes would squint against the brightness, how you'd always pull me closer, saying the day shouldn't begin without a moment of peace. Now that peace is gone. The morning feels like an unwanted visitor. I greet it because I must, because the world still expects the prince to wake, to smile, to command, to exist. But inside, I am as hollow as the crown I will one day wear, beautiful to look at, empty to hold. The people still cheer when I appear on the balcony, unaware that the prince they admire has already been emptied of his soul. They call my name, they raise their flags, and I wave back, my smile perfectly practiced, my voice calm and strong. Yet, every cheer feels like a cruel echo of what I lost. You once told me that a ruler is nothing without empathy. That power without compassion is a curse. I see that now, not as wisdom, but as truth written in blood. For how can I serve a kingdom when my heart belongs to someone it condemned? Every command I give, every decision I make, feels like another step away from who I once was. The man who believed love could defy destiny. I wonder, do you still think of me? Or have you forced yourself to forget, to heal in a way I cannot? I imagine you walking through fields far from the palace, your hair tangled by wind, your laughter carried by rivers that do not know my name. Maybe you found peace in a place untouched by royalty and its cruelty. Maybe you've learned to live without the weight of my world pressing down on your shoulders. If so, I cannot blame you. If loving me only brought you pain, then I pray you never remember my name, except in moments when the wind is kind and memory is soft. But if you do remember, even for a heartbeat, then know that my heart still beats only for you. My father watches me closely these days. I think he knows that something within me has changed. His gaze lingers longer, his words sharper, as though he can sense the rebellion that still burns beneath my calm. He believes he has won, that by separating us, he has preserved the throne. But what he does not understand is that his victory is built on a corpse. Mine, the son he raised to obey, has died quietly, replaced by someone who wears obedience like armor. One day, that armor will crack, and when it does, the truth he tried to bury, our truth, will rise like fire. For even kings cannot command the heart forever. There are nights when I still hear your voice, not in dreams, but in memory. The way you said my name when you were angry, when you were afraid, when you were in love. Each tone lives in my chest like a melody that refuses to fade. I remember the last time I saw you. Your eyes were calm, but your hands trembled. You said nothing, yet your silence said everything. Don't fight for me now. Live long enough to find me again. Those words were never spoken, yet they echo louder than any vow. And so I live, not for duty, not for my name, but for the day destiny will give me back what it so cruelly took. Sometimes I walk through the royal chapel when the world is asleep. The candles flicker against the stained glass, and for a moment I imagine your shadow standing beside mine. I whisper prayers I no longer believe in, not for forgiveness, but for reunion. I tell the stars that if there is any justice left in this cruel universe, it will bring us together again. Not in this life, perhaps, but in another, where crowns mean nothing and love is not treason. Maybe in that world, we will walk freely through gardens with no guards, no orders, no fear. Maybe there, I will not be a prince, and you will not be forbidden. Until then, I will endure. I will wear the crown they give me, sit upon the throne they built, and smile for a kingdom that does not know it has already taken everything from me. But inside I will remain yours, quietly, completely, eternally. Let history write whatever it wishes about me. Let it call me coward or fool or broken hair. I care not. For if history remembers me at all, I want it to remember that once there was a prince who loved beyond his duty, who chose a forbidden heart over a golden destiny, and who, even after losing her, never stopped waiting for the day her name would set him free.